Hello, everyone, and welcome to our 2019 Digital Trends webinar. Thank you for joining us today. I know at the start of the year, everyone is busy and they've got a lot to do. I'll be joined today with my other host, Kim MacKenzie and Eddie Ryce. I'll just let them briefly introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I'm Kim MacKenzie. I am the Digital Account Manager here in i3 Digital. Fun fact about me, I teach yoga and I teach meditation. And yeah, give you a little overview maybe of that today in the presentation.
My name's Eddie Ryce. I'm the Business Development Manager here at i3 Digital. Don't know if it's a fun fact, but I've met the Queen twice and I've also met the President of Brazil.
And as for myself, I am Keith Gutu. I am the Marketing Manager here at i3 Digital. Fun fact about myself, I used to be a DJ, and my DJ name was a bit embarrassing now that I look back on it, something to do with chocolate or something, but we won't dwell on that too much. So just to cover some of the house rules, you'll notice in your panel on the bottom right-hand corner, you've got a question section, so you can ask questions anytime during the webinar. We'll try and answer those for you. If not, we'll cover those during the Q&A section. Now, this webinar is scheduled to go on for 30 minutes, and then we'll have a Q&A section afterwards. Our next webinar is on the 21st of March. And what we're going to do this time is we're going to do it slightly different and get you guys to choose what topic we'll cover on the next webinar. So the two topics to choose from are cloud-based content management, SaaS, or intuitive e-commerce to increase sales. And now this will be at 3 p.m. GMT. So that's on the 21st of March, 2019. Now the topics that we're going to cover today, as you've seen from your emails, is how visual search works and will evolve e-commerce, how artificial intelligence is going to start to play a leading role in strategy and content marketing, how machine learning is revolutionizing online personalization, and the new emerging technologies that we think are ones to look out for in 2019 and moving forward as well. Now, like I said, there's a Q&A session at the end of this. It's scheduled to go in for 30 minutes with a Q&A session at the end of it. So we'll answer any of your questions then. We also have a poll, as I mentioned, that will launch at the end of the webinar. So please feel free to choose your topic for the next webinar then. Now I'll hand it over to Kim, who's going to cover the first session.
Thanks, Keith. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so today I'm going to be talking about and demonstrating visual search and e-commerce and where it's going to be trending and what the trends are for 2019 moving forward. But before I get moving into the slides that I have presented today, I'm going to ask everybody to do something a little different on a webinar. So I'm going to ask you, if you've got your yourself seated, can I ask you just to put pen, paper down for a moment and just sit back comfortable in your seat? And I'm going to ask you just to get yourself nice and relaxed. Just gently close your eyes over. And if you're in the office, if there's other people there, don't worry about that. Just take a moment to close your eyes over and take a nice big breath in and out. And I'd like you just to imagine that it's lunchtime during your busy week and you're out into one of the local cafes for some food. You're standing in the queue, deciding what to order, taking in the noise, the smells, and visually what's going on around you. And a thought comes into your mind about something that you're trying to enhance at home, and it's a kitchen table. And you see a kitchen table in the cafe that is very appealing to you. So you take your phone out of your pocket and you open up the camera to take an image of the table. And when you do so, your technology and your device is scanning the image of the table, that very table that you're looking at. And when it gathers the results of the image, it then produces either a website and product of that exact table or a variant of that table. It's that moment you decide, do you purchase because it's what you've been looking for and it's in your price range, or you save it to basket or do more research later on the products and delivery results that your phone has given. And that really is visual search in itself. So if you want to open your eyes again, guys, thanks for going along that little journey if you did. So what is it exactly? That is what I've just tried to give you a visual stimuli of. But visual search it's intuitive results driven from data collection through the development of 1, artificial intelligence, and 2, machine learning. And let's not forget, artificial intelligence and machine learning has been around since technology began, but it's now developing that we're understanding how to use it better and more intuitively to get better results. So with these two operating in tandem, it then helps visual search and work and improve better. So it's giving us instant things that we want and need. So it has the ability to scan and capture real-life images instantaneously through your device, and that enables precise and informative options to what the brain is being stimulated by in any given moment. It's also effortless, so online search through the style of images and voice is easier rather than the typing of keywords and thinking about what you're looking for. And how it works. So really we're going to go to the machine, which is our brain, and really it comes from our thoughts. So really artificial intelligence and machine learning is trying to understand what we like, but also because we're given an input and it's feeding back. The human brain is programmed to perform best when it problem solves or explaining ideas through visual and voice stimuli rather than transcribing into words. So this is why artificial intelligence is becoming more and more efficient. 90% of information transmitted to the brain is visual. Technology is building us to think for us through visual search imaging. And also, for a second, I just want to sort of deter off for a moment, but in our brain, we have a section at the front called the prefrontal cortex, and it's split into 2 parts. The first part of it is called the anterior, and the second part is called the medial. The anterior brain is the one that does all the expression, decision-making, and also our social behaviour. The medial part of the brain is the part of the brain that is the happy enzyme. It's the one that does all the brain reward system, so like a dopamine effect. So whenever we are working with AI, this is where it's going to be triggered most, at the front of the brain, to make quick decisions and get instant gratification. And how the images are actually scanned and detected from the device, it's through patterns of images, again with machine learning and artificial intelligence that goes through operating systems and our search engines. So as I spoke of just now, the benefits of visual search is to make it effortless for us as the hunter-gatherer. There's less effort involved in having to go and hunt for what we really need. It's just given to us and it's there easy. It's seamless. So from the actual thought of standing in the coffee shop, thinking about a table that you'd like, the same one right in front of you, to then being able to hit a button and you can purchase, it's really seamless. And again, just giving you that instant gratification with that affecting the prefrontal cortex. Happy enzymes. So what's the lowdown for visual search in 2019? There's some of the brands that are big brands that we would all know, ASOS, Instagram, Google, Pinterest, Amazon, and Android from last week actually installed a new update called HiVis. All these brands are actually leading the way at the moment, and these are the innovators and the drivers that are actually changing the way we operate our devices and technology with visual search. So according to Gartner, by 2021, early adopter brands that redesign their website to support visual and voice search will increase digital by 30%. 3/4 of consumers agree that text-based keyword searches are inefficient in helping them find the right product online. And 62% of millennials desire the ability to visually search over any other new technology. So due to these large brands and retailers offering visual search, it's now putting expectation from consumers to the smaller companies to apply of the same. And there's just a little bit of info I want to give you from the CEO, Ben Silberman of Pinterest, where he states that the future of search will be about pictures rather than keywords. They are producing, I think, up to 600 million images per month, where you can now go on to choose to shop with that as well. So they've got a Pinterest pin lens, I think it is. So yeah, it's just about getting really innovative and moving forward and keeping ahead with these guys, because these guys are the ones to watch and the ones to follow. So this is a little video really now just of demonstrating exactly where I brought you at the beginning, which is on a visual journey, and this is what we can do with visual search. So for essential growth online for this year, if you're thinking about your brand, thinking about your business, and where you're moving, or if you're in a department where you're working in marketing, the key thing to be thinking of and to be making sure that your plan to is that the website and the content of your website aligns up with the Google algorithm core update, which took place last August. And the overall thing with that was really to broaden search terms. So it's allowing smaller companies to have more of a chance to get better rankings, but also it's given people a chance to just really improve the content, because it needs to be sharper, shorter, and more precise, so that you are, it's recognizing shorter content and longer content. Second thing would be thinking of leading the way with the EAT principles, and the EAT principles do also apply into the Google algorithm core update, where it's needing to be sure that you're the expert in what you're doing, that you know what you're talking about, you know your brand, you know who you are as a company, and you know who your audience is. The second thing is authority. So once you build your expertise, it's then about building authority in your brand, in your company, and also in your voice and who you're speaking to. And that will apply also with the content through Google. And then it's about trust. So it's trust with your brand, it's trust with what you're doing, and also with the innovation, that you're moving forward in the right direction and keeping ahead with everyone else, or if not ahead, even more, with your products and with your brand. And then we have benchmarking for competitor analysis. So this is something that I look after here in i3 Digital, and it's just helping customers to understand where they're at in the market, where they need to be, who they sit alongside, who they're ahead of, and it's really just trying to understand competition. And that's something that we can assist here in helping you understand before you move forward with any strategies or planning for what you're doing for the year ahead. Planning and marketing budgets are crucial for online growth, so it's really understanding again where you are moving with your plans. What do you need to include if these trends, have you thought about these trends? Are they going to be involved in your plan? If not, what do you maybe need to adapt and change to maybe start to progress to move into visual search for 2019? And then lastly, it's really important and it's very key to have a very intuitive and robust CMS platform. So without your platform, you really can't, I mean, it's the meat in the middle of either side of the customer and as you as the brand. So if your system is not intuitive enough to be able to do a lot of the marketing for you, to be able to be thinking about the customers, getting the data and giving you the information of where you need to go moving forward, and also making sure that you're getting the purchases that you need, then it's really about understanding what you do need as a platform. We have here Kentico, we're a Gold partner here at Kentico, and we also have an EMS system which can do a lot of the intuitive stuff for you with the online growth for your business. So that's something that we can look at as well for you. And that's me, guys. I'm going to pass you over to Eddie, and he's going to talk about AI and content marketing. So thank you.
Thanks a lot for that, Kim. Hi, everybody. As she alluded to, I'll be discussing AI and its place in content marketing. I mean, really, just to set the scene, I mean, typically today, the world over, I mean, marketers are manually assembling workflows for later automation. And a good example of that is when a visitor comes to download, let's say, an ebook from your website, you could particularly have a workflow set up that they are then allocated to a 3-part email nurturing campaign. But really, what happens when reality sets in and it becomes a lot more complex? I mean, for example, if there were over 10,000 ebook downloads to actually download over 5 different personas, and they were originating from multiple channels, for example, social, organic, and paid, and they also required, let's say, personalized emails and different website experiences based on that user history. The market and automation that we are typically doing today as content marketers is ironically quite manual. And the platforms that we're using, they do save time, and they are increasing efficiency and productivity levels, and they are driving performances to a certain degree, but they're not really giving us the deep insights into the data, the recommended actions, or predicting outcomes, or even creating content as well. So once you add in the layer of artificial intelligence, that's where the game changer actually applies. For those that maybe don't know, AI, it's artificial intelligence, and it's the simulation of human intelligent processes by machines. So think Skynet. Some stats to throw at you. There's a couple of conflicting stats here, but I think it's quite important that we kind of show them. 51% of UK businesses don't have an AI strategy in place, according to Microsoft. But if we look at that on a sector-by-sector case, let's take, for example, retail. According to Gartner, 30% of companies worldwide will be using AI in at least one of their sales processes by 2020. So you can see that obviously retail are grabbing on to artificial intelligence and recognizing how it can benefit them and actually increase sales as well. And what I'd like to do is really just kind of go over 5 key areas that we feel here at IT Digital where AI is going to help with content marketing. And first and foremost, really, and it's really one of the earliest use cases for AI in marketing, is being able to curate content from multiple sources for building websites and be able to repurpose content via either atomization, where you're breaking down long format content into several different formats, or then to turn one form into another. That's also a common way that AI can help leverage the content investment that you've got into play. Number 2, repetitive content at scale. It's another obvious use case where AI can help in content marketing, where you need to scale up quickly on the content that's repetitive or even tedious. If you can imagine a particular message that needs to be intelligently rewritten for a poster or for emails or websites or landing pages or particular social media channels in different languages, well, that might not just be the best use case of a full-time writer. And artificial intelligence could easily take over that responsibility. Case in point, you've got the Alibaba AI-based content tool, and it addresses just that. This Alibaba AI writer can really go and write up to 20,000 lines of copy per minute. And as a result of that, millions of small and medium-sized online retailers are using it every day to help write and rewrite e-commerce copy for their products. But what if that AI could really help give the right context along with the right data at the right time, and that you're not actually having to rely on the gut instinct of human beings. And that's where we see the real advantage coming in. Number 3 is content, and to be able to drive return on investment. When it comes to writing marketing copy that's driving conversions on emails and websites, one brand's cringe-worthy statement might be another organization's tone of voice. So it's really important that unique boundaries are set for each brand. So for example, if AI had the data about what content works and what doesn't, and also what context to include for a particular kind of content, then that would allow you to generate content really, really quickly and actually be able to segment that automatically as well. That could potentially do what companies like Phrase claim their solution does, where it's creating content that performs 98% better than humans most of the time. So the focus is on return on investment in that sense, but it's far more than just a productivity tool. And while these tools, such as the Alibaba copywriting tool, are bringing the use of AI into the mainstream, progressive marketers really need to think about making it deliver more than just savings and how it's going to help them optimize their business. My favorite, number 4, being able to drive real-time content personalization. I was one of these guys that did get a personalized Coke bottle, so forgive me. But really, at the next level, artificial intelligence is going to take that content and context and the rules and allow you to apply and deliver real-time personalized content at scale. And that means that every person that comes to your site is going to get something slightly different. Stephen Curry, our design guy in here, calls it micro delights. and thus that's really going to give people a much richer, personalized brand experience. And if that's done right, artificial intelligence is certainly going to be able to give a real competitive advantage for undersourced marketing departments that are strapped for cash but need to keep up with the big players like Instagram and Android, where they're using these technologies to their advantage. And then last but not least, we've got the predictive content analytics. So given that artificial intelligence is capable of using past data to generate the most relevant content for each brand and segment, undoubtedly it's going to be able to use the data to predict what campaigns will and won't work and which ones are going to give the best results, and actually be able to write content itself. So using AI to predict performance can also mean that a lot less content can be done in a lot more of the time. So instead of you guys, creating a whole wide basket of content, hoping that something's going to work, AI will allow you to just not throw mud at the wall and pick on stuff that's actually going to be beneficial to you and your business, and generating your call to actions and seeing some real return on investment. And that's it from me. So I'm going to hand over to Keith now.
Thank you for that, Eddie. Now I'm going to sort of move on nicely from Eddie's section, machine learning and online personalization, which works quite nicely with Eddie's section because it covers off quite a lot of similar points, really. Although machine learning is a topic that does sound highly technical and can be, but its applications can be quite valuable for marketers. Now, machine learning itself is essentially a subset of artificial intelligence. The difference being machine learning is a set of algorithms really that can assess data and learn autonomously without human input. Now, the learning is based on recognizing and remembering situations to form an understanding of patterns that govern certain behavior, and from that, adjusting the customer's journey and serving appropriate content without the input of any humans. Now, at the moment, there's obviously a crossover between what currently happens is there's rules-based personalization, which is essentially personalization that allows you to serve appropriate product and content recommendations based on predefined rules or segments. So marketers can go in and set a certain number of rules. For example, I want this group of users who are coming in from the US to be served this particular content. I want people from China who obviously they have some restrictions in China to be served this particular content, which is not obviously blocked from anywhere else. Now, as you can see, the obvious limitations with that is because it's all preset rules and there's only so many rules you can put into it initially, it is quite limited in what you can do and the number of rules that you can have at any one point. And the major drawback with this as well is that in order to change those rules and to see whether they're working or not, it takes a lot of hours of manual analysis, looking through reports and data, and seeing what's working and what's not, and if it's not working, what other rules you can put into place. Now, obviously, this again takes a lot of man hours, which most of us don't have the luxury of having. Now, machine learning is different in the sense that it allows you to create unique experiences for individuals through recipes or parameters. Essentially, marketers can set parameters or rules where they say, right, okay, I want the program to not go beyond this certain point, but everything else in between is really up to it to learn how the customer reacts and interacts with a particular website. Now, the obvious advantage of this is that you're not limited to manual input from a marketer, and obviously you're not spending many hours sort of analyzing the data, and essentially the programs are learning themselves and improving and serving the appropriate content based on the behaviors that they've recognized. Now there's a few organizations that are actually doing this quite well. The likes of Netflix and Spotify are companies which are really changing customers' expectations by serving one-to-one personalization and creating truly personalized experiences despite the audience scales. Netflix is even going down to a level of personalizations where they're personalizing actual film covers. So each person, when they go into their Netflix account, will see, even though they're looking at the same film, will see a slightly different cover based on their previous browsing history. So you can see how that's really, starting to personalize the customer's journey and keeping their engagement quite high as well. Now, this is having a knock-on effect throughout the digital world, specifically in the CMS software platform world. What this is doing now is that a few forward-thinking CMS software platform providers, such as Kentco and Cycle, are leading the charge really in adapting their core offerings to have similar machine learning personalization capabilities. The first one there being smart lead capturing, whereby lead forms become smart and they learn from previous information entered within the form and then serve different questions the next time somebody, a particular visitor, goes to fill out the same form again. Which obviously means that you're capturing a lot more information without being too intrusive. What they're also doing now as well is making it easier to customize pages as far down as page variants. So being able to change particular variants within a page quite easily, and being able to A/B test on that particular variant to see whether those changes are working or not. So they're making that a lot easier, which means that you can get a lot of data from it and adjust and adapt any parts of the web page that you wish. What they're also doing, especially the likes of Kentco and Cycle, is making it easier to personalize based on someone's journey or a particular visitor's journey by using business logic really to set triggers within that journey to say if this visitor performs a particular activity, serve them this content or send them this email. If Joe Blogs goes on to a particular web page or reviews certain blogs, the next time they come around, serve them this content. So it's really, taking, I suppose, the manual effort for marketers away and automating it and making sure that each journey is as personal as can be. The other thing that CMS software platform providers are now doing is, if they can't provide similar machine learning personalization, what they're doing is they're closing the loop by making it easier for third-party integration tools, content recommendation tools such as Recombi, to be integrated within the platforms. Meaning that you essentially you don't have to worry about, my CMS platform doesn't do this, doesn't do that. There are third-party integrations tools or software platforms that are actually allowing content recommendation engines to be integrated within the CMS. As I said earlier on, there are really quite a number of software providers that are pushing the envelope and sort of trying to keep up with the evolution in terms of artificial intelligence and machine learning, the likes of Kentco, Cycle, and Magento as well, which leads us really nicely into top tips. Although this might sound quite obvious, it's something that we sort of experience at i3 Digital, whereby clients would come to us with a project, and they've got a certain CMS platform in mind. And obviously not all CMS platforms are equal in terms of their forward thinking and innovation. So it's something that we would always sort of advise on to make sure when you do choose a platform that it's one that's forward thinking and innovative, and essentially to future-proof yourselves and your organizations. And a good source of information around this is Gartner's yearly reports, which report on what CMS software providers are actually doing and who's pushing the envelope, who's moved up. So it's a good read if you ever get a chance to read it. The next one, really, again, it seems obvious, but really consider the data that you use to personalize content before you actually even start personalizing content. A lot of the times we'll get people come and say, right, I want to personalize the content, but I haven't actually thought about what data they want to use to personalize the content. There's things like whether they're going to be using personas, whether they're going to be using contact groups, website activities, or even campaigns. So it's really important to know, what data you're going to be using. Obviously, this is all driven from, your overall organization goals and objectives. Another one is when you have gotten past the point where you're sure you know what content data you want to use. And then the next stage really is figuring out what rules you want to set for those triggers to be set off, really, whether it's around, if somebody's in a particular stage in their purchase journey, whether they're coming from a certain location or whether they come to your website at a particular time of day. So it's really important to ensure that you're defining the right rules for the different personalizations that you're going to be adding on to your system. And that brings us really to the end of the machine learning bit, and nicely onto the emerging technologies, tactics, and methods. Now, what we wanted to do with this particular section is to highlight a particular technology that we think is going to be the emergence really in 2019 and the years to come. And the one that we've chosen is cloud-based content management, or SaaS. You probably got a clue of this at the start, which is one of the poll choices that we would like you guys to choose from. Right now, what cloud-based content management is really where content is served and managed independently of any one channel. So a lot of the times you'll hear the term headless CMS or headless approach. This is what it is really, essentially. So the content management is essentially sits in the middle and acts as a central content repository, which is accessed via APIs. And you notice with the image on the right-hand side, essentially being able to push out content to many devices. Now, this is all being driven by a lot of the current developments in terms of technology, things like Internet of Things, voice assistants, such as Amazon's Echo and Alexa. So essentially, content is having to be driven to all these different touch points and not just standard websites. So what content management is in cloud is trying to do is essentially being able to seamlessly serve content to those particular devices, without being tied down or tethered down to a standard website. I know Eddie's got some insight on some of these aspects as well.
Yeah, I've been being Scottish. I'm always talking about the cache side of things, But typically, cloud or headless CMSs, as some people in the industry call it, have a lower cost to traditional CMSs, and that's due to the software as a service kind of model. But it's also around the speed to launch, because you can simultaneously create the content alongside the development. You don't have to wait for page templates and stuff to be designed and made in order for you to fill it with the content. For example, Chemical Cloud starts from as little as $0 a month for a small organization, and that can go right up to $999 a month and then onwards. The other good thing about using something like Chemical Cloud or any software as a service product is that you've always got the latest version. There's no more hanging around or having to pay for upgrades. You've got the latest version available straight away, and you're only really paying for the features that you need. But don't think it's a silver bullet. I mean, there is some drawbacks. One of those things would be the learning curve of how to use something new. I mean, it's not like a traditional CMS where there's a WYSIWYG to use. It's definitely not that. But that's not to say that it's not the tool for you. We've got a really good webinar on our site and also a blog that covers, for example, the Chemical Cloud versus Chemical EMS. So I would ask you to go and check that out for a little bit more information as well.
And the interesting thing is we're currently going through a process of building our new website here at i3 Digital, and this is going to be built on Kentico Cloud, like I said, which is a cloud-based content management. So we'll be able to tell you guys, hopefully, if you keep an eye on our blogs, and we'll try and do a webinar on it at some point later on this year, just to give you guys an idea of what the pros and cons are, and what we found personally using the system as well. So yeah, guys, keep an eye out for that, and yeah, we'll hopefully be able to give you good feedback on that as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to launch the poll for the next webinar topic. So if you could take just a couple of seconds to have a look at the two options that you have there, and give us an idea of which ones you guys prefer us to cover during the next webinar. Oh, I can see there's quite a lot of interest in the e-commerce webinar, which Kim is smiling about, because she's loving that, and she would love to delve deeper into the e-commerce section. I know Kim has got quite a lot of experience in e-commerce, and so if that does turn out to be the eventual winner, she'll be quite excited to run a session on that as well.
And we do have a few questions, but we're obviously conscious of time. So what we'll do is we'll wrap up the questions, and we'll email out everyone a version of the recording, and along with that, the questions and answers as well. Yeah.
So it's left for us to just thank you guys for joining us today. Like I said, if you have any questions, we can perhaps answer one or two questions now. If not, we can follow up with any questions and answers later on via email. I can see a question here from Steve, who wants to know whether, if they're planning a digital project now, whether a cloud-based system will be the best option to go for. What would you say to that, Eddie?
It would really depend on the requirements and their willingness to learn a new system. Mm-hmm. If it was just a brochure site, great, you can spin it up really quickly, and that's definitely a place for Chemical Cloud or any other headless CMS, where you're not too much caring about how the back end works, you just want a nice glossy paint job. But when it comes to the heavy e-commerce side of things, I would still recommend the Chemical EMS, or Sitecore's version of that as well. So yeah, but it would need a little bit more investigating to find out what your needs and your requirements were. So yeah, but please feel free to reach out after this. We can definitely have a chat about that, Steve.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that brings us quite nicely to the end of this webinar session. Again, thank you guys for taking your time out of your day and spending it with us. Like I said, we'll announce the results of the poll after the webinar. Let you guys know what the next topic is. And again, thank you very much, and we'll look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Bye.